Hello, fraction fanatics. Mr. Carter here, ready to do homework 3.4. If you haven't yet, please put your name on your paper. And let's begin. Well, today in class we learned about our rule for finding equivalent fractions. And basically, it's whatever you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom, and whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So if you start with a fraction, let's say 1/2, and you multiply the top by 5, you get 5. And if you multiply the bottom or the denominator by 5, you get 10 because 2 times 5 is 10. So 1/2 and 5/10 are equivalent fractions. So we're going to use this rule today to help us with our homework. So again, let's look at our example down here where we have 1/2 again. And to go from 1 to 3, you have to multiply the top by 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. So whatever you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom. So if we go 2 times 3, that equals 6. So let's look at number 1. How did we get from 1 to 6? Well, you multiplied by 6 because 1 times 6 is 6. Let me zoom in here because that's kind of far. Right. Yeah, so 1 times 6 is 6. So now whatever you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom. So you got to go 2 times 6. So 2 times 6 is 12. Let's look at number 2. To go from 1 to 3, you have to multiply the top by 3 because 1 times 3 is 3. So again, whatever you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom. 4 times 3 is 12. So that means 3/12 is equivalent to 1/4. Those are equal. Let's look at number 3. 1/3 is equal to what? Well, to go from 1 to 2, you got to multiply the top by 2. So if you multiply the top by 2, you got to multiply the bottom by, you guessed it, 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So that means 1/3 and 2/6 are equivalent fractions. Number 4. We have a 2 in the numerator this time, and over here we have an 8. So how did you get 2 times what will get you 8? Well, the answer to that is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So again, whatever you do to the top, you got to do to the bottom. So 3 times 4 is 12. So 2/3 and 8/12 are equivalent fractions. 5 looks a little different. We are looking for the numerator instead of the denominator. So now we got to look down here at our denominators and ask 5 times what gets you 10? So 5 times 2 gets you 10. So again, whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So 1 times 2 is 2. So 1/5 and 2/10 are equivalent fractions. They are equal. Okay. So I'm going to have you go ahead and try 6 through 10 on your own. See how you do with that. Again, don't forget, whatever you do on the top, you got to do to the bottom. Whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So, asking here for number 11 is name 3 equivalent fractions for 1/2. Well, you can just start by multiplying by counting numbers. So let's start with multiplying 1/2, and I'll do my work over here. Let's say we do 1/2. Let's do times 2 on the top and times 2 on the bottom. Well, 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2/4 is one equivalent fraction. So let's start again over here. Let's do it times 3. So 1/2. Multiply the top by 3. Multiply the bottom by 3. And 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 2, or 2 times 3 is 6. So another equivalent fraction is 3/6. Can you come up with one more? All right, go ahead and give it a shot. So let's look at number 12. Number 12 is asking you to list all the factors for 56. So I like to start with 1 always, and I spread myself out and go over here in 56. That's always a good way to start. Then you go with your next counting number, which is 2. Does 2 work? Does 2 times something equal 56? Yeah. Since 56 is an even number, you can split that in half. So 56 divided by 2 is 28. So I know that 2 times 28 will equal 56. Does 3 work? Does 3 times anything work? No, it does not. So 3 is not a factor. How about 4? Can you divide 56 by 4? The answer is yeah. So if you go 4 times 14, you'll get 56. So 4 and 14 are factors of 56. About 5. The answer to that's no, because 5 doesn't end with a 5, or I'm sorry, 56 doesn't end with a 5 or a 0, so 5 is not a factor. About 6. No, you can't divide 6 into 56. About 7. Yeah, 7 times 8 is 56. So 7 and 8 are factors. And then the next counting number after 7 is 8, and we already have 8, so we started to repeat. So we now know that we have all our factors for 56. Factor pairs for 30. Well, let's start with 1. And the factor that pairs up with 1 is 30. About 2. Yep, 2 and 15. Does 3 work? Sure does. 3 and 10. About 4? Nope. 5? Yeah, our last factor pair is 5 times 6. So our last question here is 30 prime or composite. Well, it's definitely composite because it has more than one factor pair. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 factor pairs. So that makes it a composite number. Okay, that'll do it for this evening. If you have questions, please come and see me. I can help you further. And talk to you later.